Today is May 9th, 1975. It happens to be my son Michael's birthday. He's 17 years old. In 2 days, it will be Mother's Day. And the gift that I wanted was a cassette recorder. I received it today because I expressed a very strong wish that I'd like to record experiences, events from the past. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it once it's all recorded. But right now, at this period in my life, I find a very strong urge to speak. I had a fantasy. I've had the same fantasy for the past 20 years, that one day I will meet someone who will find some bits and parts of my past very, very fascinating. And he or she will want to write a book on myself. Of course, I never met anybody like that. I never met any authors or writers or anyone who would. In other words, my fantasy has never materialized. I have decided the last week or so that maybe I should do something directly about it. So I'm not sure where I'm heading for or what I'm going to do with all this. But I will record events of my life, starting from way, way back, whatever comes to my mind, whatever I do remember. And maybe one day, if I can find a ghostwriter, or if I would just know the right person, if I would just know whom to approach, I would have him or her listen and see if anything can come up of this. Before I start from day one, I would like to mention where I'm at today. I'm in the process of going through psychotherapy. My therapist's name is Nola. I met her the very, very first time on March 20th. I also met Dr. Kropp, who's an MD psychiatrist, and she is his associate. I chose her because I have not been able to relate to men for quite a long time. And at the beginning, I used to see her 3 times a week. At this point, I see her twice a week. It was very much against it just would not go away. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't understand any of it. And my very good friend, Rabbi Klickfeld, whom I always related well to, and whom I always used to help with Jewish affairs, Soviet Jewry, Jews in Iraq, any Jewish, in any Jewish capacity that I was able to, I would always help out in the temple that I belong to and that he's the rabbi of. Until around February, things, I just couldn't cope anymore. And I couldn't belong to the Social Action Committee anymore. I couldn't function too well anymore, period. So that he kept mailing me brochures and information on what to do next on this issue for Jews and that issue. And one day I just ran right over to the temple and I saw him. And obviously I didn't realize it myself, but I was quite shook up, and I begged him to stop mailing me all that garbage, that I just can't cope with it anymore, that I can't get involved anymore with anything, and to lay off my back for a while. He then told me that he, of course, will stop, and that I don't have to volunteer or help anymore. He also suggested that I'm in a very bad state, and that I realize I need some kind of help. I said that I don't need the kind of help that I knew he had in mind, and that was the end of that. Every few days after that, he would then keep calling and suggesting to me that his very good friend, Dr. Krupp, could help me, and that I have nothing to lose by going just the one time and speak to him about it. But I refused. I absolutely could not accept that idea at all. He then decided to speak to Stewie about it, and then Stewie started to tell me I need help, that I don't seem to be able to cope, and that it wouldn't be a bad idea at all for me to once meet that Dr. Krupp. Things went on like that for 2-3 weeks, until one day I finally decided to give it a try, especially after Rabbi Klickfeld told me that he also has an associate who works with him. Her name is Nola, and that made things much easier. Also, with her it would only be $20 a session instead of $50, which certainly didn't harm the situation. So on Thursday, March 20th, for the very first time, I met them both. But this was only going to be the very first time to meet them, but after that I was going to only meet Nola. The reason they both met me at the same time was for a diagnosis of my state of mind. And after sitting with them for about an hour, they both agreed that my depression, that constant depression, was what the hell is the word? It's a manic depressive with suicidal tendencies, etc., etc. And that's why they urged me to come 3 times a week. I did start seeing Noah 3 times a week, very, very reluctantly. I just couldn't help it. I did not believe in it. I went. I guess deep down I did hope I might get some help, but it was very reluctant and I was fighting it. There's one thing I did do is from the beginning I was extremely truthful and honest. Whatever it was that was said, it was at all times the truth and no hiding. But I don't know if it's so much of that I wanted to be helped, or whether it's because I'm so practical and I figured as long as I'm paying, I might as well not lie, not play games, and just tell it like it all is. As time went on, and at this stage, and this is now May, which is 2 months later, I'm relating to Nola very, very well. I don't know how much I've gotten out of it, but I'm wide open. Things have come back to me that I hadn't thought of in 30 years, 20 years. The past is overwhelming to me. I can't believe I even lived through it. And at times I just shake from it. Remembering and going back into time, it's absolutely horrifying to me. In fact, sometimes I think it all happened to someone else, not to me. And then at times I really look at it, and I know it's happened to me, and I just can't stop crying. I'm overwhelmed with pity and with feeling sorry for myself, and I have such despair in myself. And this past Monday, 4 days ago, it was so overwhelming that for the very first time since I started seeing Nola, again that very strong feeling of ending it all. I was so close to it again, as I was many times in the past. I just don't have the guts or the courage. The way I see it, it's a question of courage. Someone else would see it as a question of being a coward. To me it would be the easy way out. I just can't seem to do it. I keep saying it's because of physical pain, the transition from the time one is alive until one finally dies. The physical pain, which of course I can't ask anybody, that is frightening to me. That just horrifies me. And obviously I'm not capable of taking my own life. I do have about 15 sleeping pills hidden away somewhere, and is making me feel good just to know where it is, in case one day I would have the guts to do it. Until then, I'm just going to have to talk my heart out into this recorder and just talk, and talk. I told Nora this morning when I saw that I'm planning on doing this. I don't know if anything will ever materialize of this. Whether I will write the book with somebody's help or whether I won't, it doesn't actually matter. Obviously, it's not enough for me to talk to Nola. I seem to have the urge to just keep talking and really letting it all come out. All the bad, all the pain, all the sorrow, all that horrible, miserable, terrible childhood. And when I'm finally talked out, or when I finally have reached the limit where there's nothing left to remember, maybe then things will be alright. At this point, things are very, very shaky. My one passion right now is bridge. I started to learn how to play bridge at the end of last summer. And the only time, the only time where I don't think of myself or go back into the past is when I'm actually playing bridge, because the concentration, it's so intense, and it's a very, very stimulating game. In fact, every Tuesday night I take an intermediate course right now. I do want to get better and better and better. So it's probably a good idea that I do have something to hold on to. And right now it's been bridge. Besides bridge, there is something else at this point in my life that's very, very different and dramatically different. That particular subject I won't be able to talk about until the very, very end of my whole past, until I'm up to date with where I'm at today, which will mean the first 41 years of my life. It will only be at that point, at the very end, that that subject will be brought up. I mentioned bridge because that is a very big passion of mine right now, and it is obviously saving my sanity. The other item will I will only be able to tell at the very end of my life story.